So, what made you fall in love with marketing and pursue it as a career?
So it started back in college. I started out as a liberal arts student, so I was really into anthropology and psychology, and I studied music. And my entire family was all business majors, even my grandmother. And so there was a lot of pressure to become a business major. So I took some business classes, and I was like, oh, but I don't know, business isn't for me. And then I took a marketing class, and I was all in. And I had a professor who said that a product is a complex bundle of satisfactions. And that was like the big moment for me, that it was so much more than buying and selling. It was really this um, complex business transaction that had a lot to do with people versus um, accounting. No offense to accountants, but that just wasn't my thing. And so it was just a way to kind of pull in everything that I loved. Um, and from then, like, I became a marketer, and that's all I ever did. I loved it.
I love how when somebody when you're following your passion, it's like you get introduced to it. It's like you just feel in your body, like you know that this is for you and that you love it.
Yeah, I didn't think, I was like, oh no, I'm never going to be a business person. I'm super into the arts and all these. And then it's like it all clicked for me. And I was all in marketing and business.
So cool. So, was it hard going from an ambitious Fortune 500 marketer and self described workaholic to being a stay at home mom?
Yeah, it was really hard because you get a lot of who I felt like I was based on my career. Like, I was super career focused. Almost, I moved for my career. Like, I lived where I lived for my career. Everything I did essentially was around that. And so making the transition from having that be my whole identity to being a mom, which I love being a mom, but it is so different, really hard. Nobody's thanking you for cleaning their diapers,
Yeah.
or for not sleeping. Like, it's hard. I mean, all moms know it's a hard job. And so that transition was really hard at the beginning. Eventually I was able, as I started my own business, and I was able to do some things that kind of dipped my toe back into the work person I was able to pull in the elements that I loved and kind of get rid of the elements that I didn't love. So that's been a nice balance over time. But yeah, the transition was hard, very hard.
It is so hard. I have two little girls, and I very much relate to how much of your identity goes into becoming a mother once you have kids, and especially if you don't have that job to kind of ground you, and you're kind of just on your own. So, what led you to decide to leave your 9 to 5 job and then pursue your own business full time?
So it really was. So I was living in San Francisco at the time, which I loved, but it was a different life, not totally conducive to having little kids. My husband worked in advertising, so he had really heavy hours as well. And then I was working in Silicon Valley. So traveling with everything, it was about a 12-hour day on average, between the shuttle time and all of that. So I had a good job. I was super lucky. But I also, after having my kids, my first son actually, was thinking, well, okay, between daycare was as much as our mortgage, like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gone 12 hours a day. Like, I had a kid, I had my children older in life. I'm like, I really want to spend time with, like, I want to be there. This is going to go really fast. And I knew how much of myself I was giving to my job, that it wasn't just the time I was there. I was like mentally very involved in my jobs. So that's when we made the decision that I would start to stay home, and pull our son out of daycare. So that's how that transition happened.
That's really, really admirable of you to do that. And that it's great that you're able to do that too, to spend that time with them.
I'm thankful now. My youngest is now 4, and it's just crazy how fast it goes.
It goes so fast. So what did the process look like of starting Pajama Marketer while you had young children?
That process was interesting. I sort of carved it out a little bit at a time because it's hard to do everything at once. I was able to build, like, I started with a website, and then I started doing some really small consulting. I started adding different elements over time. So it definitely took time to build up. Um, what I had to do is carve out dedicated time, because it's so easy to let, especially when you're working for yourself, to let those things kind of slide to the side. So I was able to carve out like dedicated work time to focus on Pajama Marketer work. And I also do other client work too. So it was balancing between things for my own company, things for clients, but making sure I'm carving out a window that I dedicate to be like very consistent working on Pajama Marketer stuff.
I love that. That's a really great tip. Just making sure that you make the time for it every day. So, when a business is just starting out, what should they be doing in order to begin making sales?
Yeah, I think one of the key things to think about is I always say, right, network, network, network. So your network is key to your success, I believe personally. So many jobs and leads and everything has come through networking. So whether now I live in a really small town, the more people you know, the more business you're going to get. And people always want to help. Like I always tell students we speak at the local university, we're like, we'll help you. Like, come just ask us. People want to help you naturally. And so just ask people to help, ask people for leads, announce what you're doing. I think that's the first thing is networking. Secondly, look at ways you can easily monetize your social or whatever platforms you're on. So think about some quick wins, whether it's a mini course or having your offer out there. Just make sure you have a way to quickly monetize what you're doing so that people are aware if you're discovered or if somebody's stumbling across you, that they have a way to buy whatever it is from you. So you want some kind of transaction there. And then the third thing I would say is find a mentor. So we're all like in a different phase. There's so many people doing this and everyone's kind of in a different spot. So find someone who's ahead of you or where you want to be and learn from them. And I'm not saying don't fall into the trap of do like 1,000 webinars because you're never going to get anywhere. Like actually hire someone to help you. And it can just like catapult you to the next level because you can learn from all their mistakes and all the things they've been through. So it can just so rapidly accelerate how to get to where you want to be if they're already there. So learn from somebody who's doing what you want to do.
Oh yeah, that's so great. And I mean, essentially that's what your business is. Like you're helping people learn all the marketing that you spent your entire career learning so that they don't have to then just figure it out themselves and they can set their own business up for success.
That's the goal. Like I would love to be that for people. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, that's incredible. And incredible that you're able to make your own business based off something that you're so passionate about. And that when life was hard for you or when those, you know, like you said, the daycare was as much as your mortgage and you had that long commute, it's like you really took life into your own hands. And I think that is so admirable and it's so brave and something that I hope a lot of other people will listen to and it'll spark some idea with them that, hey, maybe I could do that too. Maybe, I could spend more time with my kids or make my own business. So it's great. It's like you're helping them do that too.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So what marketing tips make the biggest difference in creating a long-term healthy and growing company?
So one of the first ones, and this comes back from my marketing, like I come from I started in CPG, so I have like very classical marketing background, but differentiation. I think sometimes this gets skipped a little bit because you see, especially on some of the social media platforms, like everybody's doing the same thing. So everybody's stuff looks the same colors, but you are unique, and that's your greatest gift and your greatest selling point. So I have a friend who's a very, very successful online entrepreneur, has a bunch of courses. But I was talking to her saying, I sell differently than her, or someone will learn from me. She might be like way up here and I have here, but I might be able to reach people in a way that she can't, right? Because my story, my background, everything about me is different than her. So just remember, like you are unique and that's really your biggest, strongest selling point. So don't hide like who you are or don't forget to let that part of you shine. Because if you're just like vanilla like everybody else, nobody's picking vanilla, right? Well, maybe somebody likes vanilla, but
Yeah.
most people are gonna pick something else.
Yeah. There's lots of different flavors of vanilla,
Yes.
so
No offense, vanilla lovers.
yeah.
Um, and then probably the most important one, and this is, I have another mentor who always says it's the unsexy work that gets you the sexy results. We talked about this a little bit ago, but it's the consistency. So I think of it like I have a little puppy. And when you get a puppy, you're like, oh my gosh, my puppy's so cute. Or if it pees somewhere, you're like, oh, it's okay. It's just a cute little puppy. And then your puppy gets bigger and you're getting kind of tired of having the puppy do all these things. It's not cute anymore, but you still have to keep working with the puppy, right? So business is like that. I feel like when you start a business, like it's like this tiny cute puppy when you first bring it home and you're so excited and you're like, this is awesome. I can't wait. I'm just going to love this puppy so much. And then you get into it and you start hitting roadblocks and things start getting hard because your growth is usually exponential, but it takes a lot of time. So where you're expecting these exponential results, you get these like minimal results. And then a lot of people don't make it to the point to where they're going to start seeing this big growth. So
Yeah.
that period is just so hard. I feel like that's like the puppy honeymoon period is over and you're just like, you're big and you're not listening to me and you're frustrating. That's where my puppy is right now. Um, he's very good. He's a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like the consistency, like when things get hard, not being married to your daily results, but being married to your daily actions. So those unsexy daily, like plugging in and doing the daily. Maybe you don't feel like doing your consistent posts, but just getting in there and doing it. Because no matter how excited you are in the beginning, there's going to be a point, no matter how much you love it, that you are tired and you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's that consistency and like not forgetting why you're doing it and knowing that eventually it will pay off, even if it doesn't pay off today.
Yeah. Oh, that is such good advice. Thank you so much. So how long does it usually take a brand to be consistent before they start seeing results?
It's so dependent. That's hard to answer like in a black and white way. You could have luck and get a lot of traction quickly, or it could take a really long time. I think the biggest thing is just knowing that consistency will pay off. And a lot of times it does. That's the most important thing to remember is that the growth curve, because your expected results are like you think you're going to slowly grow and it might not happen. It might be like flat, 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 flat up.
Mm,
So it's pushing through that period. That's where a lot of people quit in that time frame.
yeah.
So I don't have a good answer because it's it's so arbitrary based on so many factors. Like your background, you could have a huge network and connection before you start and then you're just like take off like a rocket ship. If you have no network, it could take time. You could go viral on Instagram. I don't know.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. And that is very encouraging. Just, keep plugging away because the consistency and especially if you're learning as you're going, if you're posting consistently and figuring out what people are more interested in, I mean, you're just setting yourself up like the best way possible so that you can get those results.
And you're getting better. Like that's the other thing is you're not going to be great. And that's okay. And that's a hard thing. I think for me, like I have perfectionist tendencies, which made me a very excellent employee and a not so happy person. But that you have to be able to push through the fact that you're going to be looking at people who are years ahead of you who are just crushing it like on their lives or they have like thousands and thousands of Pinterest pins and they have like their Instagram's amazing. Well, you're not going to start out like that, but they didn't start out like that either. They might have huge teams. You don't know. So just remember, like, it's okay to be bad in the beginning. You're going to be bad. And if you let that stop you, you're not going to get where you want to go. You're just going to get better. So through that period, just remember too, you're like every time you post, every time you go live, every time you do anything, you're just making yourself better.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great mindset to have. And that makes it a lot less scary to mess up because you're right. I mean, when you're putting yourself out there, everyone's going to mess up. And that's just part of the process, getting better and learning.
And it's more authentic, I think.
Yeah.
People will relate to you that way. If it's always perfect, I don't know. I think it's a little suspicious in a way.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I like what you were saying earlier about authenticity and how important that is because whatever it is that you see, there's going to be people out there that need that or who are looking for that. And the more real you are, I mean, the better you'll be able to find the right clients as well. So it's
And
great.
if you've started, like you're ahead of someone, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be looking for the skills that you are sharing at that moment because you have already done a portion that they haven't done. So there's always someone that's looking for what you have to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your favorite part about owning your own business?
My favorite part of owning my own business is like I just had a client call today and I love versus I used to work for really, really big brands and we got to work on cool things. But I mean, it was very rare that I would even talk to a consumer. We would go work in stores like a couple times a year. But being able to work one-on-one with clients or having someone take a course and be like, oh my gosh, I learned so much. This helped me so much. Being able to help people one-on-one, especially helping, like my passion is helping moms who want to be able to work from home or stay at home or start their own businesses. Being able to help people, because I know kind of how my struggle was in that space,
Yeah.
not really knowing what my next step would be and being able to help people in that space. And then also just the one-on-one of having personal feedback and working with people directly. I love that. That is, and being able to apply, like I have 20 years of marketing experience, being able to kind of distill that into ways that really people can leverage like really simply and easily. That's what makes me really happy.
That sounds like so much fun. That sounds like a great career to have, where you're just actually helping people and making a difference in people's lives. That sounds great.
Well, I mean, I got to design it. So
Yeah,
if
one
I
step at
didn't
a
like
time.
it, I'd change.
That is a big perk of owning your own business for sure. And kind of going off of that, I mean, as a busy entrepreneur, how do you keep a balance of work and family life?
Yeah. I try to set some boundaries because previously I didn't have any. So I have some distinctive boundaries. Like we always sit together for dinner.
Mm.
I don't work after a certain amount of hours. So I have like a set amount of hours I work on a day. Sometimes I work more than others. And then my husband and I, so I was really lucky. So he's also a consultant and stayed home. So we both were home when my kids were home during the or still, but they're back in school, but they were out of school for a year and a half. And so
Yeah.
we really had to balance between our own workloads and we would have dedicated shifts. So breaking up the shifts. So like I have focused work time. It also helped me like, okay, I really have to work in this hour because this is my hour to work that he's going to have the kids. So it's a mix of discipline and planning to be able to really focus and get it done.
Well, that's great that you have such a supportive spouse who's able to help too and help with your kids. That's so nice.
I'm very lucky.
You just chose correctly, so that's nice. That's yeah.
Yeah.
That's just good picking on your part. So what led you to sign up for Tailwind?
Oh my gosh, I love Tailwind. So let's see, I was looking at this. I started with, I think 2009, January 2019, I signed up with Tailwind. So I started out, I knew I wanted a blog. I knew kind of what I thought Pajama Marketer would be, and I started doing some lifestyle posts. I don't know why, like sharing easy recipes. And I quickly, I think using my marketing background, I was looking at, okay, like where's the white space in this world of online entrepreneurship? Like there's so much stuff out there. And I very quickly gravitated to Pinterest. And I was like, wow, there are not a lot. This was quite a while ago. There's not a lot of people using this like from a business perspective, at least not nearly as many as what I would anticipate. Um, and so I was then researching like what are the best ways to use Pinterest. And I very quickly figured out that Tailwind was the best way to use Pinterest. And so that was like a no-brainer for me. I signed up and I've been on it ever since. It's funny because I have schedulers. I do manage social media for a bunch of people. Um, but across like many platforms. And so there are other schedulers, but I never ever I could use them for Pinterest if I wanted to, but I never would. Like it's Tailwind all the way. Like I always have Tailwind. I love every feature. I use everything in it. And I recommend, I have a Pinterest course. I recommend it to all of my students. I even have a whole section about how to use Tailwind and why you should use it. And I don't say you have to, but I pretty much say, like, if you want to do Pinterest well, you need Tailwind.
Yeah.
Can you
Nice.
tell I like it?
Yeah, it's great. My boss is gonna love this.
I'm not paid to say this.
Oh, I love that though. I mean, that is Tailwind. We pride ourselves on being, the marketing team for small businesses and taking a lot of that out. And I'm really glad that you like it and that you find it useful too.
Yeah, and I've had feedback from students too that were like, oh my gosh, especially people who are not super into, like, I think pin design and that kind of thing can get overwhelming just from a time perspective. So using Tailwind Create, they're like, this saved me so much time. There's elements in there that just can save, especially my students who are new in Pinterest. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out of how to schedule.
Yeah.
So how to schedule, and not just how to schedule, but how to optimize your scheduling. I think that's really the key thing. Like, you can plan, batch, do your Pinterest. You can sit down, do your Pinterest like in one day for like multiple weeks if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a busy mom, like that saves so much time, because how much you should pin and how consistently can get super overwhelming if you're not using a tool like Tailwind.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so many of the interviews I've done, they've all said that. Like, I was trying to post on Pinterest so many times a day, and I had alarms on my phone, and
It's too much. And then you don't know if you're posting at the perfect time.
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah,
it just takes like upload, boom, schedule, done. Like,
yeah,
it's no brainer, which I love. Take some of my thoughts, and
yeah,
I can use my brain for something else. So I love it.
yeah. So, which is your favorite Tailwind feature and why?
Okay, that's a hard question. I have a lot of favorite features. Um, Obviously I spoke to Create. I love Create to save time. I think my favorite feature though is communities.
Mhm.
I used to use it when it was first come out as tribes,
Mhm.
but I've been using that a long time and I love it both for sharing my content. So I've gotten a lot of reshares that way. I use it to find great content to repin. So looking at kind of what's trending, I use it a lot instead of digging through the Pinterest platform. I use communities to be able to go and look at like what's trending, what in my categories is doing really well and why. So I use it kind of for market research. I use it for repinning relevant pins. I use it for, I use it for getting my own content reposted. So I love that feature. I think it's something that's not really replicated anywhere that I've ever seen. At least not anywhere near as well. So that is probably the feature that I appreciate the most, aside from scheduling and Create.
Yes, I one plus all of those too. I love Create and how it makes your designs look like a graphic designer did them. It's great.
It's just so easy.
Yeah, yeah, just drag and drop. So, what's next for Pajama Marketer?
So what's next? What I want to do for my business and mostly teaching other people is one of the Instagram projections just came out, and then of course I'm always studying the Pinterest projections too. So there is so much opportunity for the trends of how people are buying things right now.
Yeah.
So most people are shifting from buying from big companies, and they are starting to buy from people on Instagram, people on Pinterest. So I think there's such a big opportunity, especially if you're smaller. That is now an opportunity. You don't have to have a big budget like one of these mega brands. You can be super niche and be very successful. A lot of the people that they're buying from on Instagram are under 100,000 followers. On Pinterest, most of the searches are unbranded. So you don't need a big brand. You don't need a big marketing budget. You can sell whatever that, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a product, however you want to monetize, whatever you want to monetize, there
Mhm.
is a huge opportunity there for you. And there's so many incredible women who are home with their kids and maybe want something else, or they don't want to totally go back to full time. There are so many opportunities out there to monetize in some way, through your social media and through Pinterest, that I think that's kind of a huge future for people. So I want to help people on how to do that, and also myself, because I really believe in leverage. So figuring out a way, we don't have very much time. Like, your time is your most precious commodity, especially as a mom. I think we all can agree on that
Yeah.
one. You don't get a lot of time to yourself. So how do you leverage your time the most? And if you can make sales through those kind of transactions or pull people in through funnels, there are ways to just absolutely leverage your time. So that is a way to get more time back for yourself, without going back to a full-time job. So my passion is to help move into that space more, and then to teach other moms how to do that too.
Nice. Well, that sounds incredible. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much. This has been such a pleasure interviewing you and hearing all of your wisdom and insights. And I'm really excited for this piece too. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.